shop locally and shop downtown and shop our part of the world. I hope you did so, and to find out, to get a peek on things, it's awfully early before we get any numbers in, but Mike Rood from the North Dakota Retailers Association joins us from Bismarck this afternoon to talk a little bit about money, money, money. Hi, how you doing today, Mike?
We're doing well, trying to recover from the Christmas season a little bit here and gear up for the New Year's and see where that takes us. Hopefully it's a little bit better than what 2020 gave us.
Oh, 2020.
We're hanging in there.
What a rotten year, huh? Just awful.
It was a tough one. It was a tough one for everybody.
Boy,
we're ready to be done.
I got a cute thing right here I was waiting to do, but as long as you brought that up, I'm going to use it right now, Mike. You know how often online and businesses and stuff will just on your computer screen, you'll have a fire with a log, burning in the fireplace, Well, this Christmas, I guess, instead of watching a television channel that shows the Yule log and fireplaces, a lot more people opted for a different scene. A holiday dumpster fire. An ad agency in Edmonton, Alberta, recorded an hour-long video of people throwing 2020-related items into a flaming dumpster. And it was out there on YouTube for people to watch. I guess it got lots of hits. But they'd keep walking up, throwing stuff that was, relatable for the year of 2020, and then they throw it into the dumpster to keep the fire burning. So that was in place of the Yule log. So it was a crappy year, and we all can't wait to get this behind us and have a fun 2021. So, Mike, I know there's not a lot of information, but what have retailers, what's the feedback to the North Dakota Retailers Association about Christmas shopping and everything in 2020?
Well, Dan, I think this has probably been the most difficult holiday season in terms of Christmas shopping to gauge that we've seen in a decade. It's been a long time. I mean, none of us has ever been through anything like this, so we're all trying to sort out the pieces and see exactly where everything falls out here. But, the Christmas shopping season is make or break for most retail businesses across the country, and I've always said it's like the harvest season for retailers in, comparison to the farming season, and so it's so critical, but early on, things were a little bit slow. I think one of the reasons we've seen such a push to online here given the pandemic, and so what we saw early on in the Christmas shopping season was the big box retailers were online trying to move their products, and so I think a lot of the smaller marketers and mom and pop stores decided that they'd start pushing for those early October sales and that type of thing. And a lot of that dealt with the fact they could only have, so many people in their facilities at one time. So I think it's been maybe a little bit longer Christmas shopping season than what we anticipated. But, I think nationally they were talking 3.6 to 5.2% increase over 2019. And I don't know if we're going to hit those numbers or not. I know I saw in November that the retail sales numbers were down 1.1% through the month of November. So I think like anything, when things got tough and the money started running out, I think people got a little more conservative and probably sat on their money a little bit more than what we've seen in the past. But we'll see what happens with the returns and what that brings. I know I was in the shopping center in Fargo on Saturday, and there seemed to be a fair amount of traffic at that time. So right. It's just too early to tell, I guess. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to be. I mean, normally in North Dakota, when the national number is predicted to be 3.6 to 5.2, you could almost double that in the past 10 years here in North Dakota for what we were going to see. And I don't know if we're going to see that this year. I think I'd be pretty happy if we saw that 3% or 5%.
Well, no question. And what a tragedy, that maybe having a, somewhere around 10% increase in North Dakota without COVID this year, what it would have done for everybody, because the rising tide lifts all boats. Have you heard much about retailers talking about going out of business this year?
No, haven't heard a lot about that, Dan. And I think the PPP, the first round, really helped, and hopefully the second round now will help as well. So, and hopefully that that $600 that the average consumer is going to have in their hands here in a week or so, hopefully it'll start flowing out there, and we'll start seeing some of that going into the January numbers maybe, and that'll be a boost to get 2021 off to a good start. But certainly you've had, there's been a fair share of folks, unfortunately, who haven't been able to stay afloat. But one of the concerns there was that they probably were in a little financial trouble before the pandemic ever hit, and that the PPP just wasn't going to be enough to get them over the hump in the short term. But I have not heard a lot of larger retailers at this point going out of business. So that's a pretty good sign. But the mall has lost a few people here in Bismarck. I saw that Limited 2 was out of business, and there's some, there's always some talk about some other ones that are going to be going by the wayside too. So the pandemic definitely ran its course, not only within the general population, but also within the retail population.
Yeah, we lost some stores at West Acres too with the Gap Kids. I know the team over there a little bit. That was sad to see. And I wonder what COVID, the impact North Dakota or the COVID had on North Dakota businesses like that, or if it was just the natural way the retail world was going. And I'm sure those numbers and that information will come out as time goes by. So before we leave box stores, by the way, Mike Rood, who is the president of the North Dakota Retailers Association, joining us today, talking about Christmas shopping and et cetera. How does North Dakota benefit from online sales of national box stores? We get some of that taxes. Is that how that works?
We're getting quite a bit of that tax now, Dan, if not all of it. I mean, last session we passed what was called the Marketplace Fairness Bill. That passed nationally in Congress, and then North Dakota has incorporated it as well into its sales tax collection and remission process. So we're seeing some really good early numbers, and anywhere from $70 to $90 million in taxes have been collected since this was implemented about 18 months ago now. So it's been a really good thing for the state of North Dakota to at least have that money coming in. But we have to be very wary about what could happen here down the road, because these brick and mortar retailers that we have in North Dakota are the folks that pay the taxes and they pay the wages and that type of thing. So we have to do all we can to hopefully get people back out there and shopping and getting into these stores and taking part in that whole process again, so that we can keep the doors open on these places, because these are all funds that go to the general fund of our state that help pay for essential services in the state. And those taxes are vital for everyone.
Mike Rood is president of North Dakota Retailers Association. Now, you're absolutely right, Mike. There's a local company that does commercials here in Fargo. I'm not sure if they air in Bismarck too, but the owner of the business comes on and says, these national box chain stores, they don't sponsor your kid's Little League team, and we do. And, that, and it's not just that, but that really encapsulates the whole thought around local businesses. You're going into local businesses, asking them to sponsor your Little League team or to help out with this fund drive or to be part of this or that, and you really can't do that with big box stores. So God bless everybody in retail, but your local stores are the ones that need your love. So, Mike, here's the big question. Will brick and mortar stores get back to the way things were when this vaccine gets prevalent and we all get this COVID behind us? Will it return to that? And if it doesn't, is there any plans North Dakota Retailers Association is planning to do to push getting back into stores once this pandemic is over?
We haven't had that discussion as an association yet, but we were starting to really turn the corner and going towards this whole online shopping was where this country was headed long before this pandemic hit. So, if you look at the numbers over the course of the last 3 or 4 Christmas shopping seasons, they've been double-digit increases for the online sales. So it's just been up to our folks who are still in the brick and mortar business, who are out there keeping their doors open every day and providing these services. It's just been up to them to find different niches that they could bring people into their stores. But unfortunately, while some of them were succeeding quite well, the pandemic really did some damage here, and it's going to be interesting to see just where this, not just North Dakota, but where this country heads moving forward, because people have got really used to shopping online, and so we're going to have to do some work. There's no question about that, to get them back out and walking through some doors and walking down some main streets.
I think people in our part of the world have done a good job of making sure that we continue to support businesses, restaurants, et cetera, with curbside takeaway and delivery orders and things like that, trying to make sure that our local restaurants stay in business until we can get out of this. So another round of PPP, having that kind of attitude, and when this pandemic is behind us, I hope we'll get back and support and come in droves to those big sales that are be going back on. I can't wait to be free to break the chains of this COVID virus and get back to regular life.
I totally agree with you. I hope that's what we see. And, I got to tell you, I mean, I haven't heard a lot of complaining from the retailers across the state. So I think for the most part, I think people are surviving and doing all they can to keep the doors open and keep the services flowing to the folks out there. And I know that a lot of our retailers were part of the essential workforce that was out there as well. So I tip my hats to all of them for keeping the ball rolling during these less than ideal times.
Amen to that. Our retail warriors, we salute you all. Mike Rood is the head of the North Dakota Retailers Association. Mike, just a real pleasure to have you on today, Mike. Hope you have a wonderful evening and a happy new year to you, sir.
Yep, happy new year to all you guys too, Dan. You take care.
You too. Thank you so much. KFGO time is